Hi, this is a session that you can practice with, covering off some of the fundamental movements that we've been working on, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to start lying down on the backs with your feet flat on the ground, and just have a sense of where you are on the mat. So let's have a breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Every time you breathe in, just allow your body to soften, and when you breathe out, allow your body to soften just that little bit more, and just start to feel the connection of your body on the mat. So feel the connection of the back of the head on the mat. Feel the connection of the shoulders on the mat. Feel the connection of the rib cage on the mat. The pelvis. How does the pelvis feel on the mat? And then come down to your feet. So carry on breathing in. So breathing into the sides of the rib cage, and allow the rib cage to expand and contract. And then breathing in again, sending that breath all the way down into your abdominal space. Breathing. And then breathing into your pelvis. Just allowing that breath to just go all around the pelvis, and then breathe out. And then send your attention with your breath down to your feet. And then out. So notice how your feet feel. What I'd like you to do, I'd just like you to just lift your toes up so your heels are connecting in with the mat, and then slowly bring your feet down so your toes reconnect. And then peel the feet from the toes up to the heels again, and then send the soles of the feet back down. And one more time, peeling up from the toes up to the heels, and then sliding the feet back down so the toes connect. Now let's go the other way. So start to peel the feet up from the heels to the toes, keep the toes connected, and then send the heels down. And again, pressing into the balls of the feet as you let your heels rise. And breathing out as your heels come down again. And then slowly allowing your heels to rise again. And then bringing the soles of the feet back down. Now let's go to a pelvic clock. So imagine that you've got a clock on the front of your body. The 12 is where your navel is, and the 6 is where the pubic bone is, and 3 and 9 on either side, just by where the bony parts of your pelvis is. I'll invite you to place your hands on your pelvis if you wish to. This gives a sense of groundingness to the pelvis, and also helps us maintain a relationship, or also create a relationship with our pelvis if until now we've not had that much of a connection with it as such. I'll also invite you to close your eyes and to send your intention or your attention down to the pelvis, and start to feel this bony structure that your spine comes out of and that your legs hang from. So what I'd like you to do, going back to that visualization of the clock on the front of your body, is to slowly just roll your pelvis so you become a little bit more connected to where the navel is. So you'll find that the lower back starts to sink down towards the mat here. And then roll the pelvis, so you start rolling towards the pubic bone, towards the 6. So you'll start to feel a little raising of the lower spine. And then rolling back onto the sacrum, so lowering that lower back down. And then sending the pelvis back to 6. So do this slowly with curiosity. And just notice how your spine feels when you do this. It may feel like you can only move a very small way. That's totally fine. You may feel that your rib cage is coming up. If that's the case, then place your attention back into the pelvis, connect your hands onto the pelvis again, and just maybe make your movements just a little bit more gentle. Do you want it to really focus on the pelvic motion here rather than the rib cage, because if we do move our pelvis a lot, then our rib cage will move, but we just want to think about the isolation of the pelvic movement at the moment. And this is a gentle movement, no need for real sort of tension here. Okay, so now we've got this up and down motion. What I'd like to invite you to do is just to roll to one side. Okay, you'll feel when you roll to one side, there'll be a little bit more pressure on that foot of that side. And then roll on to the other side. So again, you'll feel a little bit more pressure on the sole of the foot of the side that you're going down to. So let's come down to the right side and connecting with the right sole of the foot, and then come to the left side and connecting with the left sole of the foot. And what you might find is that the opposite thigh bone, so when you're on the left side, the right thigh bone might start to move a little bit further forward away from the pelvis. This is totally fine and totally natural. So let's continue on this side to side. What you may notice is that if you find this difficult, which majority of people do, you may find that there's that you're actually shrinking the gap between the pelvis and the rib cage. So actually, let's try that out. So just bring your right hip, just bring your right hip a little bit closer towards your pelvis. So your right hip to your right rib cage, and then come back down, and then do the left and the right. So you'll notice there's a little bit of a crease coming in with the waist here. Okay, now let's go to dropping the pelvis on the side, and you'll notice that we want to maintain that gap between the rib cage and the pelvis. So we want to avoid doing what we did just before, which is closing the gap between the rib cage and pelvis. We actually want to just allow the pelvic half to just drop down. Okay, this is the motion that you use for walking. Okay, now let's introduce a pelvic clock itself. So come back to the 12, so it's the navel, and go to the 3, which is the left, then down to the 6, which is the pubic bone, and then back up to the 9, which is the right. And then we'll go 12, 3, 6, 9, and 12, and 3, and 6, and 9, and back to 12. And then let's reverse that. So it's 9, 6, 3, 12. 9, 3, 6, 12. Let's do it a few more times on this side. And just do it slowly with curiosity. And then let's do 2 more times on the opposite way. So going clockwise again. Really finding the edge of that clock. Really imagining that you're going around the edge and finding all of those little areas you may not have found. Then maybe go to 1 o'clock and then maybe go down to 4 o'clock. Okay, so this is on the diagonal. And then let's go to 10 o'clock. And let's go to, actually no, that's 4 o'clock. The other one was 7 o'clock. Okay, and then let's do like 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. I got my numbers completely wrong there. And then 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Okay, lovely. Let's just come to a natural point. And just really to feel that connection again of the pelvis. Keep your hands connected if you wish to. And just notice whether there's any difference with how your pelvis is feeling right now. Okay. So now let's go into some bridging. So keep your feet flat on the floor. Lengthen your arms down towards your feet. So real connection in between the shoulders and the elbows and the wrists. Pressing into the soles of the foot, and just you'll find that your pelvis magically starts to rise. Now what I want you to do is I want you to lengthen your thigh bones towards the wall in front of you. I'm imagining that you have a wall in front of you. You might want to stroke your thigh bones long. When I'm in the studio, I use tactile cueing. But as we're online, sometimes it's nice and easy for you to guide that connection with your own hands. Okay, so lengthen those thigh bones away from the pelvis as your spine just starts to rise above the mat. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take your hands, so take your right hand, place that on the breastbone. Okay, and breathe into the side of the rib cage. And then I want you to press gently the breastbone down, so you're encouraging the spine to come down segmentally. Or not, if you've got osteoporosis, then please don't come down segmentally, just come down as your spine naturally does. And then pressing down into your feet, lengthening your thigh bones away, allowing the pelvis to just float up. And also just maintain connection into your feet. If you notice that your feet are going a little bit to one side, or they might be going both to the external side of the foot, or your toes might be lifting, just soften your toes, soften the holes of your feet. Breathing into the side of the rib cage, bring your hand to the breastbone, and then gently press the breastbone as you encourage the spine to float down, imagining that there's space in between each of the vertebrae as you come down. And then one more time with this basic bridge. I say it's basic, but it's not actually that basic. And there's lots to think about in this exercise. So pressing down with the soles of the feet, sending the thigh bones away from the pelvis. Keep those arms nice and lengthened, palms are on the floor. Okay, now what I want you to do, I want you to go back to the 3 and 9 on your pelvis, and I want you to just drop down the right side. You'll notice that your thigh bone of your left leg wants to lengthen out from further forward. So please go ahead with that, lengthen that out, and just really open up the front of that hip. And then come to neutral. And then drop the left down, lengthen the right thigh bone away from the hip towards the wall in front. And again, let's drop down. And drop down. Maintain where you can the level of the pelvis on the mat. Really want to maintain the positioning of the pelvis, so rather than it dropping down, I want to maintain that up. So this is where the connection in the feet comes in. Okay, and then come to neutral. And then just gently place your hand on the breastbone, breathing out as your spine softens down. Okay, now we're going to do a one-legged bridge. So bend your right knee and cross your ankle onto your left thigh. Pressing down into the left foot, start to lengthen the left thigh bone away towards the wall in front. Connect your right ankle into that thigh bone, okay? So that creates a base of stability. Now what I want you to do, your right thigh bone is externally rotated. I just want you to just drop that knee down a little bit. So you were going into that rotation again of the pelvis, and then come back up. Just ever so, it's a very, very small, only go as far as you are able to. And then again, just externally rotating, allowing that rotation to happen. Bring your foot down, release the foot from the ankle from the thigh, and then just float your left foot up rather than coming down. Connect your left ankle into the thigh bone, into the right thigh bone, and then just drop down. And again, just drop that thigh bone down, and just drop that thigh bone down, and then float the leg up, place it down, and then breathing out as you allow your spine to come down onto the floor. Okay, now I want you to lengthen your arms down towards your hands, and then start to bring your hands up towards the ceiling. So as if you're drawing a rainbow with your fingers. If you start with your palms down, and then as you bring your hands up, you'll notice that your arms may want to spiral. So your palms face each other as you get to 90 degrees, and then you lengthen your arms behind you. At this point, when you bring your arms towards your ears, only go as far as you're able to today, you may notice that your rib cage starts to extend up. This is the case, then I want you to soften your rib cage, breathe in, bring your arms just ever so slightly closer to the ceiling until your rib cage connects back in with the abdominals. Okay. Then just play around here for a little bit and just lengthen your arms away and notice where that point is, where that extension wants to happen. And just really can imagine that you've connected your lower rib cage in with your abdominal muscles. So to create some tension there and some control and messaging that we want to keep that thoracic spine, the rib cage, just connected in with the mat right now. And then calming, bringing your hands back, floating them, brushing them against the ceiling. And just allow the arms to spiral in as the palms face the floor. And again, bringing your arms up. So what I want you to do now is I want you to focus on the tops of the arm bones in the shoulders. So imagine the tops of the arm bones in the shoulders actually doing the movement. As we bring our fingertips, brush our fingertips over the ceiling, imagine that you're opening your arms up from the armpits. So we've now got really nice open armpits. And again, remember that rib cage. Now, when we're coming back, think about closing your arms from your armpits. The hands will follow because that is what the hands will do. Because if the arm moves, the hands will follow. We want the arms to do the movement rather than the hands. And then one more time, but this time I want you to open up from the armpits. So imagine that you're opening your armpits like a clam, really opening wide. As you're doing this, notice the difference in the movement, in the connection to the body, connection to the rib cage. And then bring them back. And now I just want you to wait. I just want you to pause at the 90-degree mark. So your fingertips are as if they're touching the ceiling. I want you to lengthen your arms away from you. So your upper arm bones just go upwards, send your hands upwards towards the ceiling, and your shoulders start to protract and they reach away from your spine. And then soften your arm bones back in. Lengthen your arms away. Notice the connection or the difference of connection of your body on the mat. Soften your jaw here. Allow your tongue just to flop in your mouth. Smile. If your tongue is attached to the roof of the mouth, just let it be. And just think that your head is actually really, really, really malleable right now and soft. Okay, now we're keeping our arms still where they are. I want us to go back into bridge. So pressing into the soles of the feet, raise the pelvis magically raises, and you'll feel that there's a different type of connection here in the shoulders now. So you might feel a little bit more stable, you may feel a little bit less stable than you were before. But just really know that your shoulders are there and they're supporting you, that your head is being supported, that your feet are being supported. And that is why we're able to have such a lovely, just flowing connection from the head all the way to the knees. Now what I want you to do is I want you to lift your right heel as if you're wearing high heels. And then I want you to lift your left heel. So now we're wearing 2 pairs of high heels. And then I want you to send the sole down on the right and sole down on the left. And again, right heel, peel that foot off. Imagine that your foot is your spine and peel it back down and send the left back down. And again, right first, then left, then right back down and left back down and right up, left up, right back down, left back down. Let's do the left first. So left, right, left down, right down. So notice if any of your toes are starting to wiggle a little bit and come up. If they are, soften them down. We want them to be connecting but not grabbing the floor. Left up, right up, left down, right down. Now we want to allow both of the heels to come up and soften down. Both of the heels to come up and soften down. Again, remember to keep that thigh bone connected towards the wall in front. And 2 more times with double heels. And 1 more time. And soften that breastbone down and the spine down. And the arms float. Knees come in. And just have a roll on the back of your pelvis. Now keep your hand on the right knee. Bring your left foot down. Place your hand onto your left hand onto your pelvis, and then just start to rotate your right thigh bone in the right half of the pelvis. Just rotate it round in a really nice circle. And then coming back and rotating the opposite way. Keep that left pelvic half grounded. If you find that it's tipping up, then you're going too wide in your circles. Want to keep that pelvis completely connected in. Okay, and then swap over legs. So place the right foot down, left foot up. And then just roll the thigh bone in the pelvis. That's it, really nice. Really imagine that you're stirring a pot of soup or a pot of chocolate or a pot of glue. And again, keep that right pelvic half down and then go the other way. Lovely, really nice. It's just really cleaning out the cobwebs that we get when we're sat down quite a lot and placed down. Now, bring your hands behind your head. Connect your head into your hands and your hands into your head. So you've got that support. So your head is connected into the hands, but the hands are supporting with the cradle. So you want your fingers to be interlinked like this. So send your head into your hands, and I want you to imagine that you've got wheels on the side of your shoulders. And as you turn the wheels, your elbows will move into a semicircle, and your eye gaze turns around. You start to look in between your thigh bones. Your rib cage connects into your abdominal muscles. Soften your head into your hands. And then breathe out as you come back down. Breathe in as you come back down. In terms of breathing, you can breathe how you wish, unless I'm specifically cueing something. You can breathe how you wish, because sometimes the moves, it's more, we don't want to be thinking about so many things that we get worried about breathing. So breathe as you wish at all times. And then breathing in breathing out actually as we come up and through. And so when we're breathing, so I'm suggesting you're breathing out here because we're actually connecting into the abdominal muscles. So actually squishing down the lungs just ever so slightly. And then we can breathe in as we come back down, we inflate the lungs. But if you wish to breathe in when we move, then you can do that as well. Okay, so now what we want to do, we're up here. So really feel that the shoulders and the top half of the spine are off the floor. Connect the back of the skull into the hands. Now I want you to keep the head where it is, release the hands and lengthen them to the thigh bones. And then I want you to lengthen the hands a little bit further to the wall in front of you. Bring the arms up, place the hands behind the head, connect the head back into the hands, breathing out as you come back down. And turn those wheels on the shoulders, eye gaze comes towards, in between the thighs, breathe out, lengthen your hands up so they touch your fingertips touching the ceiling. Bring the hands to where the thigh bones are, reach just a little further in front. Keep yourself there when you bring your fingers back up to the ceiling, behind the head, breathe, come back down. And then one more time, turning the elbows towards the feet in front. Arms up to the ceiling, bring the arms to the thigh bones, lengthen just a little bit more, sweep the hands up to the ceiling, come back behind the head and breathe out. Now let's float one knee up and the other knee up, connect the feet together, sink the shin bones down and the feet. And then I want you to just connect the head into the hands again, and then allow the elbows to come closer to the feet, reaching around the kneecap. So I'm just underneath the kneecaps I want you to connect with. So you're still, so the lower part of your back, or mid-lower part of your back is connected into the mat. And then I want you to press your the lower part of your leg into your hands as you come up, and then breathe out and come back up. Come up to sitting. Bring your flat of your palm of your hand behind your thigh bone. Now let's look at the movement of the pelvis here. So connect your feet into the mat. And I want you to roll back onto your sacrum. It'll probably be easier if I take my jumper off. It's a little bit chilly in here, unfortunately. Okay. All right, so place the palm of the hand behind the the thigh bone, and then I want you to slide the pelvis towards the feet. So imagine that we've got the clock there, we're going to 12, we're sliding the pelvis towards the feet and then coming up. So I want you to avoid leading with the back. It's actually all in the pelvic motion. If you could look ever so slightly at my pelvis, you can see that this part is opening out first before my rib cage. So, you know, if in doubt, you can always practice it by a mirror and have a look to see which part, until you can feel it, which part of the spine is going first. Okay. Pressing, so keep that connection, the back of the thigh, keep that connection with your feet, and then rolling back and come to as far as you can without either having to take your feet off or sliding the feet. I want you to have a connection between the shoulder and the elbow and the hand here. So imagine you've got a big beach ball, and then coming up, and then rolling away, allowing that space for that beach ball to come in, and then coming back up. So now we've explored that, we're going to go a little bit further. So rolling back onto the sacrum, I want you to allow the feet to just slowly drag on the floor as you come down with ease, but also slowly. Don't need to put, so I want you to just come where your shoulders are still up. Keep your hands into the back of the thigh. Press the thigh bones into the hands as you roll back up. Breathe out here. So this is a half roll down and roll up. Because of the way that we're on a curling on a rounded surface, it can sometimes be quite tricky to come back up. So this is where your legs are involved, and also our breath. So drop the hand. These it's like a pendulum. This is your weight to bring you down. Okay, but also the breath helps you come down as well. So as you're coming back up, you breathe out, and that the momentum of the breath facilitates the movement to move. Okay, so let's roll onto the back of the sacrum, sliding the feet back, allowing the spine to come down gently, and then press the thigh bones into the hands. Breathing out, the eye gaze is through the thigh bones here as we come back up. And again, rolling out, sliding your feet down, allowing the body to just really control this movement. So again, press the thigh bones into the palms of the hands. And breathe in here. Thigh bones into the hands and breathe out as you come back up. So thigh bones into the hands. Okay. Now let us find that point of the pelvis where our feet can just gently rise up and down. Okay. So you're not right here where you're really tall at the pelvis. We want to roll back ever so slightly. Just drag our feet, and then we'll find this nice balance point. Okay, so let's just toe tap here, and as we're toe tapping, I want you to just let the connection of the palms of the hands away from the thigh bones a little bit. Okay, and then just gradually lengthen the legs. So what we want to do is we want to imagine that I've got an elastic ball. We've got elastic bands attached to our bottoms and our heels. And every time we lengthen the leg is lengthened from all the way from the bottom up to the heel. Okay, so you've got that real tensegrity of motion. Okay. And what I want us to do is just to have this, now go back to bent leg, I want you to lengthen your arms out. So feel for there's a balance here, but feel from the head all the way down the spine to the bottom and to the legs. It's like you're in a hammock. The back extensor system is supporting you here. Okay, so let's touch, lengthen the arms out towards the wall in front of you, towards the feet, and then just let's have a play and touch the legs up and down, touch the toes on the ground, and then come back up. Okay, we're going to build onto this now. Place the hands behind the legs, rolling down, and just let the feet lift, arms long, touch down on the toes, lengthen up. Touch down with both the toes, lengthen up together. Touch down with both the toes, lengthen up together, bend the knees in, and then roll down. Press the thigh bones into the hands, rolling upwards, and stay balanced rather than toes on the floor. If the toes go, it's totally fine, but touch the toes and then lengthen the arms. Touch the toes, lengthen the legs. Touch the toes, lengthen the legs. Touch the toes, lengthen the legs. Arms behind and roll down. And press the hands into the thigh bones into the hands. Breathe in here. And send yourself away. And then let's do one more, but this time when we go down, we're not going to hold the hands, we're just going to come down all together, legs long. So touch the toes, lengthen the arms, touch the toes, lengthen the legs away, touch the toes, lengthen the legs away, and then rolling down, lengthen the legs to the wall in front. Bring your arms up into that arm up that we did earlier. Open out wide into a circle. Curl your nose to chest and curl back up, knees bent. Lengthen the legs, curling down, lengthen the legs in front of you, arms go behind you in a circle, nose to chest, rib cage connects in and come up. And then breathing out as you roll down. Open the arms out wide, nose to chest, and scoot back up. Legs bent, cross the legs over, and breathe. Okay, so what I'd like to do now, actually, is just to get a little bit of motion back in that pelvis and in the spine. So have your knees quite gently cross-legged. Whichever's comfortable, it could be like this, it could be like this, it could be like this. But ideally what I want, or you can be sat on a cushion and just prop yourself up a little bit. So ideally what I want is for you to have a certain comfortability, but I want you to have a connection across the whole of the bottom of your pelvis. So place your hands on your knees. And then I want you to go back to that vision of the clock that we've had with the pelvis. I want you to just move your pelvis around that circle. Just be curious. So you may find that your body's doing this, okay? What we want to do to start off with is just focus on the pelvis, because if we're doing this, we're moving a huge amount of our spine first, and actually most of the movement is going to be coming from the thoracic spine, which is also the rib cage. So place your hands on your rib cage just to keep it a bit steady, okay? And then just start to move your pelvis around. It's very, very slight. Okay, just curious. And you may find that the way that you've chosen, it could be quite tricky. I'm finding this quite tricky. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to slowly allow your lumbar spine to start getting involved, which is just really creating a wider circle. All right, and then you can start allowing your rib cage to get involved. All right, and place your hands back on your knees. Create a space, you know, you can press into your knees just a little bit here. And then just allow your rib cage to really, really enjoy this spiraling motion. And now let your shoulders get involved. And your head. So your head is just popped on the top of the spine. Some people actually refer the head to be still, to actually be part of the spine. But just imagine, I like to imagine that it's like a cherry that's just been popped on the icing of a cake. Okay, just gently, and just really enjoy this motion. Okay, and then come to a natural spiraling stop. And then let's go to the other side. So place your hands back on your rib cage, and whichever way you went before, then go the opposite way. So again, really small motions of the pelvis here. Okay, really be curious about what the differences are between this and the previous side. And then start to allow the spiraling to go up. So again, you want to make sure that when you're coming upwards, that actually you are involving, you're still continuing to involve the pelvis, even though you've moved further up the food chain as such. Because we could just do this, we could just actually do that with our rib cage and not involve our pelvis. So we're starting off with the pelvis and spiraling up, but the pelvis still keeps on moving. Okay, and just really allow that winding to happen. And then let the shoulders go. And the head. So again, just imagine that the head is just popped on the top of your spine. And it's just feeling like nice and free. You might want to close your eyes when you're doing this. Really enjoy that feeling. And then come back to center. So you'll notice that often people say, you know, in the you've got to stand still. Actually, if you stand still, you're creating tension within the body. So when you come to a stillness within Pilates, it's actually more about, you know, the stillness within the body. It's not about being stock still or having tension, because there's always going to be a pulsation within the body, because the heart is pumping blood. You know, we're a moving, breathing piece of machinery, for want of a better word. So there's always going to be some kind of movement, and that is natural. And that's, in my opinion, that's better, because we're always undulating and finding what's right. It's a bit like walking on concrete versus walking on grass, or walking on a pebbly surface. We've always got to find the different ways in which it's best for our body to have equilibrium, so we can have balance and movement. Okay, so let's come onto our knees and come into quadruped. So this is a really lovely exercise to open up the spine, especially if you have some back issues, or your back feels a bit tight from working all day. So just like the pelvic clock, this is very similar, but because the back is free from the mat, it allows the spine to move in a lot more motion. So we want our hands to be flat if possible. If you have wrist issues, then you can always use a fist, or you can place something underneath it, or you can always come down onto your elbows, but you don't get as much openness as you do when you're on your hands, because of the fact that you've got shorter levers here. So bring your hands underneath the shoulders. Be aware that often we think that both our hands and our knees, when we say shoulder width and hip width apart, are actually, they always end up being wider, because we think about our shoulders and our knees as being a lot bigger than they are. So it's actually really where the armpit is, and also just a little bit in, from probably about a third of the way in from your inner thighs is hip width distance apart. Okay, so knees are knees underneath the pelvis. And then what I want you to do is I want you to just do a few of these movements, but just do them how you would normally do them, and just notice what you do. You can also tuck your toes under if that gives you more stability. And also, if you have knee issues, pop some cushions under your knees here. Okay, so what I'd like you to do after you've played around with that, I would say that you've probably put in quite a lot of pressure into your hands and pressing up like this and squeezing your abdominals. So what I want you to do is I want you to just notice the difference between holding the weight of your arms and your body, your upper body, in your hands, and then place your attention into your pelvis. So if I'm pressing into my hands, you can see that really big bulge I've got coming out of my upper spine, my thoracic spine. What I want you to do is actually allow the spine to articulate via the pelvic movement. So I want you to turn the pelvis as if you're going down the back of the legs. Allow the spine to gently flex naturally. The head follows. Okay. So you'll notice there that yes, my spine is flexed, but the thoracic spine is a lot less rounded. That is because the flexion is from the tail, from my tail, all the way up to my neck, rather than just being focused in the thoracic spine. Now I want you to slide the pelvis away from the backs of the knees, and then just allow the spine to come into extension. When you do this, you'll notice that the upper arms spiral outwards, so they externally rotate, and this allows the chest bone to come through the shoulders and for the breastbone to sort of slightly come up a little bit, on as if it was climbing the walls in front of you. And then again, so sometimes I use an analogy. If you've got a stack of books, we come back to neutral. If you've got a stack of books on your bottom, I want you to basically turn the pelvis so the books slide off your back down to the knees. And then I want you to bring the books back up with the pelvis as you come into extension. And then one more time, slide the pelvis down the back of the knees, sliding those books off down onto the floor. And then sliding back up. So I want you to stay in this extension pattern, and I want you to lengthen one leg away. So lengthen the left leg and lengthen the right arm. They're still connected to the ground. Now I want you to float them both up and lengthen them both away from you. And then bring them back down, connecting. Weight goes back into the right and left, and then lengthen the right leg away, toe on the ground, left arm away, fingers on the ground, float up. And then come back down. Lovely. And then lengthen away. Your top of your head it's like you've got a lightsaber coming out the top of your head and it's going straight to the wall in front of you. And then bringing down. And lengthen away with the opposite arm and leg, left hand, right leg, and then come back down. All right, come back onto your knees. Just move your fingers a bit. Now we're going to build on from that. So coming back into quadruped. And then come into the extension pack, and so slide the pelvis away, allow the arms to spiral out. Lengthen the right leg away and the left arm. And then I want you to bend your right knee, but I want you to feel like you're sending your thigh bone away from your pelvis as you're cracking a walnut in between the knee, lengthen away. And then bending the knee, cracking that walnut, and lengthen away. And cracking that knee, bending, and then place the hand down, the left hand down. Now you've got that knee up in the air. I want you to cross the knee over the thigh. The right knee is crossed over to the left thigh. So you're now cross-legged. Pressing into the hands, I just want you to send your pelvis back in between your feet. If this is quite tight for you, then move the bottom leg or move the top leg. You might want to do this. Place your foot on the floor, whichever's easiest for you. And then I want you to soften down and allow the spine to just sink towards the floor, opening up the space on your pelvis. You also, if this is quite hard, you could also put a cushion under your bottom here. Breathing in, and then send the hands forward, and then coming back up. Bring the knee over, back so it's face up, and then bring the right knee down. Lengthen the left leg and the right arm, and then let's bend the knee, crack the walnut, and then lengthen away. So remember to lengthen the thigh bone away from the pelvis as you're doing, so there's a tension here. Crack the walnut, lengthen away, and then bend the knee, crack the walnut, bring the right hand down, cross the left knee over the right thigh, shin down, press into your hands and just roll over so your pelvis is in between your feet here. And remember to reposition your legs, which way is comfortable for you. Let the sink down in between the pelvis, in between the feet, and then just let your fingers spider forwards. And then bring your left thigh over, and again. So let's do that one more time on each side. Lengthen the left arm and the right leg. Bend the right leg. Bring your left hand down. Cross the right thigh over the left calf, and then press yourself back so your pelvis sinks in between the legs. Again, bring your foot on the floor. If it's easier for you, prop yourself up with a cushion if needs be. And then slide your fingers forwards, roll onto your knees, press your hands down, float the thigh bone up, and then come back down. Lengthen the left leg and the right arm away, bending the left knee. Press the right hand down, cross the left knee over the right calf. Pressing into the hands, roll over, place your pelvis in between, soften down, find that cushion, move your legs if needs be. And then just spider your fingers forward and float the knee up. And then come down Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd just like you to come back onto quadruped, but I want you to tuck your feet under now. Okay, I want you to press into the heels of the hands, so the base of the hands, and just notice what that does. I'm pressing to the heels of the hands and my pelvis wants to go towards my feet. Okay, so press into the heel of the hands, pelvis towards feet. Now, when I press my heels of my feet away, what happens? It creates a tension in my thighs. So let's do that again. Press into the heels, send the heels towards the wall in front. My knees feel like they want to come off the mat. So let's do those together. So press the heels of the hands into the mat towards the wall in front, and send the heels of the feet away. My knees rise. Let's do that again. Heels of the hands, heels of the feet, knees float up and come down. So let's just have a look, let's have a play with how that would feel if you would do it, would say, without the intention. So often, in order to go upwards, we press downwards, okay? So we press down into the ground and then expect our bodies to go up. Now, if you think about it, what we're doing here is we're pressing down with gravity and expecting to push our body against gravity to come up. So let's have a fat go. So press down with the feet and down with the hands and go up. So that for me has a real tension, and it's actually really, really difficult. So let's try that again. Pressing down with the hands, down with the feet, and lift up. Again, lots of tension in my arms here, lots of tension in my middle body. And as you can tell from my voice, it's really not that easy. So let's go back to what we were playing around with before. So really connecting with the feet here. And I want you to slide, so press the, not slide, because you don't want to go sliding, but send the heels of the hands towards the wall in front and the heels of the feet behind you. So pressing in and your knees magically float. Okay. And again. And for someone who doesn't have a huge amount of arm strength, when I can carry things, but actually arm strength and pulling and things like that, it's always been quite hard for me. So to actually lift with such ease is a revelation. So I love teaching this to people. So pressing into the heels of the hands, heels of the feet go away, and then float the pelvis up. The arm bones spiral inwards, and the shoulder girdle, the breastbone, and the head just comes in between the arms. So the earlobes are just by the arms. You may need to keep your knees bent. That's totally fine. Okay, now let's just bring the knees down so they hover, and then press the heels away, press the heels of the hands away, and then float the pelvis up, and then coming back down, float the knees, arms spiral outwards as you come down, and then heels away, heels of the hands away. Lovely. Now I just want you to take a couple more hands forwards and just allow the pelvis to just move away from the backs of the knees. Now what I want you to do is to come into a plank position, okay? And then press up with the heels of the hands and the heels of the feet going further away, and the pelvis moving away from the backs of the legs. And then calming. Just imagine, so when we were doing the chest lift, we've got those turns on the shoulders. I want you to imagine that you've got the dials on the shoulders moving moving one way and t'other. So as we come back up, our arm bones spiral inwards. And then the arm bones spiral outwards, our body floats through. And then our arm bones spiral inwards and our body floats upwards, our pelvis floats up towards the air. And then one more. Lengthen the heels away. And then spiral the arms inwards, pelvis floats up. And then actually we'll just walk our way in. You might want to bend your knees. And then find the feet again, slide the pelvis down, the backs of the legs start to roll up to standing. Now let's roll back down, so nod your head, allow your collarbones to roll down the front of your body, ribcage connects into your abdominals, spine starts to curl, pelvis starts to move away from the backs of the legs, may need to bend your legs here a little bit. And then just allow your hands to come wherever they need to, just let the arms hang heavy and start to just roll. Just move your spine around a little bit, nod your head, shake your head, and just move your shoulders, a bit like we were when we were sat down. And then send your weight into your feet, roll the pelvis down the backs of the legs. Pelvis comes up, rib cage is on top of the pelvis, shoulders on top of the rib cage, heads on top. And then one more time, nod down, roll the rib cage, roll the pelvis, and then heavy, 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 heavy arms. And see how far your legs, how long your legs are feeling now. And then rolling back up, sliding the pelvis down, the backs of the legs, spine uncurls, rib cage uncurls, heads on top. Breathe out. And there you go. I hope you're feeling spacious and light and long. And I hope that you've enjoyed this and you will be able to practice some of the moves that we've done so far. Thanks very much.